Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. It's that time once again, time to crank up those speakers, and time for another edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. The only place you need to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. I'm Skip. They call me the Happy Camper, and my job, of course, is to make a happy camper out of you. It's episode 136, and on today's show, hey, wait a minute. Oh, yes, we are going to be talking about the call of nature, whether we like it or not. You know something? I'm probably going to take some heat over this from a few of our listeners, but really, I believe it's something we need to talk about because as primitive campers, we understand that we do not enjoy the comforts of home anytime we venture into the outdoors. It's not like we're sitting on our living room sofa and when the call of nature whispers in our ear, we get up and round the corner and go to the restroom and handle our business. When we go to camp, it's a totally different environment. And I'm not talking about camping out in an RV or a motorhome, a pop-up camper or a travel trailer, a unit that has onboard facilities. I'm talking about primitive camping because we have to make do anytime that we pitch our tent. We're going to talk about it today on the show. I think it's going to be an informative episode that you're really going to enjoy. Our phone number here at the Happy Camper Radio Show is 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. Give us a call anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Leave us a voicemail message if you have a camping question, if you have a comment about the show. If you have a camping question, by all means, let me have it. Throw it at me because what I may end up doing is putting your voice on the program and answering your camping question for you. That number again, 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and now subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are so many ways you can connect up with us. Go to www.happycamperradio.com and check out our newly improved website. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's got the feel of camping to it and so much on there that you can see and check out. Definitely, by all means, check out my new blog page, and you'll find it in the upper right-hand corner of the toolbar. All of our social media icons are on the right-hand side of the page. Take the studio tour and lots of useful tips for you to use the next time you plan on going camping. www.happycamperradio.com. And right now, it's time for me to head on over to the shout-out window because there are quite a few folks that logged on this past week to social media and would like to welcome them on board today. First of all, to Michael Barons Schaefer of Dimondale, Michigan. He likes us on Facebook. Michael is a firefighter. And just like the men and women in blue, Michael, thank you so very much for your service. To Bill Z of Hiawatha, Kansas. Adam Chandler of Denver, Colorado. Traveling Dads. Tour Trader of London, England. V-Dub Camper in Nottingham. RV World Network of Lafayette, Louisiana. Evergreen RV in Middlebury, Indiana. Myers RV in Churchill, New York, Kevin of Las Vegas, Nevada. They all follow us on Twitter. And finally, to Kylie Olson, who added us to Circles this past week on Google+. Thank you, each and every one of you. Glad to have you on board. And most importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Hey, would you like to be on the program? I'd like to have you as a guest. Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. We'll make that happen. There are so many different ways that we can tie you into the studio console, telephone, Skype. In fact, we have a new service called Source Connect that really has proven itself to be awesome. And all you got to do is get in touch with me. If you got a subject matter you want to discuss, if you have a product line that you'd like to talk about on the show, I'd love to hear from you. Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. That's all you got to do. Get in touch with me, and we'll make that happen. Hey, last week on the show, did you by chance happen to catch that episode? If not by audio, by video. Yes, we did our very first Hangouts Online. And if you didn't catch the episode, this was one of the first shows I did in front of the camera. If you want to get an idea what it's like to see me in the studio as I'm doing the show, episode 135 is the program for you. You can find it on our website or on our social media pages, and no doubt about it, I'm going to be doing some future Hangouts on air later on down the road. And I think you're going to enjoy it. I did get some positive feedback from some folks who did see it. And I'll let you know the next time I'm going to be doing a Hangouts on air so you can catch it wherever you may be. All right, folks, here we go. One of the most unusual episodes I have probably done in the history of Happy Camper Radio. It's camping and bathroom breaks. All right, answering the call of nature. First of all, I don't care how young you are. I don't care how old you are. I don't care whether it's day or night. I don't care what time of the year it is or where you may be. Anytime, any given time, we may have to answer the call of nature. We know that if we're sitting in the comforts of our own home, it's a whole lot different there than, saying, being out in the wilderness or at a public or private campground. Chances are, in a campground situation, you are going to be several hundred feet away from the nearest restroom facility or the nearest bathhouse. Like anywhere, campers are going to have the need to go any time of the day or night. Many campgrounds do have these bathhouses, and a lot of them are in close proximity to where we go camping. In some cases, that may not be the case. Take myself, for example. I'm not young anymore. I wish I had the energy I had when I was 25. But as I'm pushing 60 years old, I'm slowing down a little bit. Let me put it that way. All right, when I go camping and I check in at the campground office, a lot of times, if I have not already made a reservation online, and that's what's so neat about online reservations, because you can look at a campground map. You can see exactly where you're camping at in close proximity to, say, the bathhouse or the restroom, or how far away it is. Myself personally, when I go camping, my first preference is to camp by the lake. That's number one. Number two is to camp in a shaded area, especially if I'm camping in the spring or the summer months. And number three, and last but not least, is where are the restrooms. That's so important to me. In that order. It may be different for you. Now, I'm talking from a primitive camper point of view. I did at one time have a truck camper. Of course, I've mentioned that here the past couple shows, that I'm hoping to get that fixed up and sold. But it does have an onboard facility. It has a restroom, it has a shower, it has a sink, and it has a whole lot of features inside this tight little compartment. And it looks so neat on the inside. Wow. If you have one of those facilities that you're bringing to the campground, well, then I guess I'm preaching to the choir, because you really don't need to hear any more of this particular episode. On the other hand, if you're a primitive camper, and a lot of people are, you need to concern yourself where the nearest facility is, especially if you have a young family. Now, again, I want to point out, too, that restrooms are kind of important. I want to say they're very important. And why is that? Because here's the way I look at it, folks. Have you ever been on a long distance trip? And you know what it's like to have kids in the car. You know what it's like to keep them refreshed. You know that when it is hot outside and you've got the air conditioner running, even though you're traveling and you're making things as comfortably as you possibly can for your family, it's important to keep your kids refreshed. And the more they drink, the more they're going to have to go. So on the state highways, you're going to be looking for rest stops. And when you go into these rest stops, you are expecting the restroom to be relatively clean. And when was the last time you walked into a restroom facility on the freeway and found it to be in disarray? It needed attention. Well, the truth of the matter is somebody is constantly looking after them. They're cleaning and sanitizing. That's a number one priority. All right? Guests count on this, and they expect it too. Bad restrooms are going to bring bad reviews. And campgrounds know this, especially private campground owners know this. I can promise you that they have somebody at their facilities that are constantly looking after the restrooms because they are going to be used 24/7 as long as that campground is open. So it's going to be very important that the restrooms are kept up to speed and looking their absolute very best. In fact, when was the last time you walked into a restroom facility, even if you were on the highway, even if you were at a campground, and you saw a sign on the inside of the door directing guests to call a number or to go to the office if you found that restroom was in need of attention? That's exactly how important it really is. So those restrooms at private and public campgrounds are going to be looked after. They may not be as sanitary as we would normally keep them had they been our own restrooms in the privacy of our own home. But again, keep in mind, you are camping. Private campground owners, like I say, will pay special attention to this. And they do. Trust me, they do. Let's talk about camping and portable toilets. All right, I know this is not the most highly respectable subject, but the fact is, after this show is over and you've had some time to think about it, and you start thinking back about some of your past camping trips, you're probably going to be saying to yourself, wow, I didn't think about that. It's something I normally don't think about when I go camping, but maybe it's something I should think about in 2016 in some of our future camping trips. Not every camper is going to be excited about hauling in extra gear to camp. Myself personally, you've seen some of the pictures. When I load up the bed of my pickup truck, there is no room for anything else back there. And today, I am a one-man show. When I go camping, it is just me. Even though I may have some friends coming along, they may meet me at the campsite. They're going to set up their gear at their particular site, and I'm going to set up mine. Now, I have not used a portable toilet at the campsite in previous years. It is something I'm considering for 2016, and I think before the end of this show, you'll understand why. Not every camper, like I say, is going to bring a portable toilet to camp, and it's not something they really want to be bothered with, though even they don't want to advertise it either. All right? It's just one of those things. You're not going to go to your fellow camper next door and say, hey, come on over here, check out my toilet, check out my John I got over here. No. You'd rather show off your new lantern, maybe your new stove, maybe that camping recliner like I have. Oh, I have let so many people sit in my recliner. It's only about 1.5 years old. But I have more and more friends who have now gone out and bought their self a camping recliner, because they had the opportunity to experience just how comfortable mine was. I can't tell you the number of nights I have fallen asleep in that recliner. And of course, I'm not going to let anybody sit on my portable toilet and expect them to go out and buy a portable toilet next, all right? That's not going to happen. But I'm making a point here, all right? There's a lot of things you need to consider yourself before you go ahead and determine that you're going to set up a portable toilet at your campsite. First of all, where are you going to set it up at? How many campers are going to be using it? That is so very important. If you've got a lot of people in your camping party, if you've got a small family, if you are the breadwinner, if you are the person who makes all the decisions, you're going to want to make things as comfortably as you possibly can for the people in your household. If you feel more comfortable about them using a sanitized facility that only you and your family members will be using, you may want to consider setting up a portable unit at your campsite. Here's another thing you need to concern yourself with: privacy issues. Who's going to be dealing with the waste disposal? That is also very, very important. And finally, where are you going to properly dispose of this waste? Most campgrounds, public and private campgrounds, have a dump station. And if you're not familiar with what a dump station is, if you're a primitive camper, it's one of those locations located at the campground, and maybe they have one or two different sites on the property. And this is a place that the motorhomes pull up. It's the travel trailers pull up. It's any facility or any camper or your motorhome. You know what I'm talking about. You pull up to the site and you properly dispose of the waste through a hose into a tank in the ground. And you flush your system out and then you move on. Was a very, it was kind of inconvenient for me when I had my truck camper. And I'll tell you why. Because most of the time when I went camping, I used the facility just as much as anybody else would. I took showers in there, I washed my hands, and there came times when I had to use the dump station and dispose of all the wastewater that were in my tanks. That's what the dump station is for. Having a truck camper, it was a little more convenient than, say, somebody who came in driving a fifth wheel or a motorhome. Because if you were at a public campground, chances are you didn't have full hookup facilities. You didn't have wastewater disposal right there at your site. A lot of your private campgrounds do offer this, and of course it's going to cost a little more. And I never had a problem in a private campground environment in spending that little extra money. Because what you have to do, like in my case, in most campground situations I was involved in, the rules said that you could not remove the truck camper from the truck onto the site. It had to stay on the truck. So for me, it really wasn't too bad, because if I had to take my truck to the dump station, I just jumped in the cab, started the engine, and off I went. And went up the road, disposed of the waste, and came back to my campsite and parked. Didn't take that long at all. I can understand if a person has a travel trailer or if they have a motorhome, the inconvenience of having to move every single time your tanks got full, right? So it wasn't really that big of a deal for me. But if you're a primitive camper, it's going to be a different type of situation here, because in most cases when you're primitive camping, you are going to depend upon the locations of the bathhouse and locations of the restroom facilities and the number of trips that you're going to have to make each and every day and night that you use those facilities. How many times are you going to be running? Do you have to get up in the middle of the night? Wow, that can be a hassle, especially when you get older, and it's even more of a situation if you go wintertime camping, and I'll tell you about that here in just a second. Now, your portable toilets for camping, they come in a variety of styles and designs. The more expensive units have a detachable holding tank. Some have a toilet seat that's attached to a folding stand, and a plastic bag goes beneath it. Some have a seat and a lid, and get this, that attaches to a 5-gallon bucket. You think I'm making this stuff up? I guarantee you, if you go to your local department store in the camping supply aisle or go to a camping supply store, you will see some of these things. It's camping equipment, and it shouldn't be an embarrassment to talk about. Now, some campers do custom make, believe it or not, their own portable toilets. Think I'm kidding? Do a Google search online and check out homemade toilets. Pop that into your search engine and see what comes up. I don't know if people do this as a joke or they're actually serious about it. But, you know, there are some people that do make their portable toilets for camping purposes. The cheapest way out, of course, like I said, is going to be the 5-gallon buckets. You can pick them up for a couple bucks at your local hardware store. And the seat and lid attachment, you can get that at your camping supply aisle. Very, very simple to use. However, let me point this out too, and I only learned this just this past week when I started doing some research on this subject matter. The waste bags, in many cases, waste bags are going to be used, and you will find specific waste bags in your camping supply store. They're not your typical waste bags that you use to pack trash in. All right, they are designed for these portable toilets. And some of them also include chemicals that you will use to deal with the odor. Have you ever been to, say, like a county fair or an outdoor event where they bring in these portable johns, they line them up, they're usually blue in color, and they line them up so nice and pretty. And if the call for nature comes about and you have to go use one of these facilities, you simply walk into one of the empty stalls, you lock the door, and you're saying, wow, it smells good in here. All right, well, there's a chemical that they have in that tank that makes it smell so good? Well, they do sell these. They're in small packages. I think you can get like 6 in a pack, if I remember correctly. And you pour about, say, about a quart of water in the bottom of your bag and maybe a half a bottle of this chemical. And that's used to deal with the odor. All right. Again, in all cases, the waste bags, you should get them at your camping supply store. I've never dealt with this before, so it's new to me. I would imagine the heavy-duty plastic bags could work. But for me, just starting out and learning about this new possibility of bringing a portable John to my campsite, I will probably spend a few extra bucks and buy the waste bags that are designed for that purpose. Now, they do make these tents, these small tents, and what they actually are, folks, are these shower stalls. If you want to know what this looks like, take a look at my blog page, the latest blog that I'm going to be posting here, and you will see one of them. It's a shower stall, but it's still small enough to be used for privacy purposes if you want to put a portable toilet inside it. And it fits along with the concept of your campsite. It's a small tent. It kind of fits together just like your regular tent. And it's seated maybe next to or maybe in close proximity, but it's on your site, and it's used for that purpose. Again, you might want to check with the campground owner if it's a private campground and take a look at the rules and regulations and see if they do allow these on your campsite or require you to use the bathhouse or the restroom facility if you're primitive camping. Again, if you're going to go this route, you know you're going to have more to haul into camp. It's going to require a little additional setup time, but at the same time, it's going to eliminate the need for walking long distances to the restroom or the bathhouse. One of the things that I find very, very important, whether you use a bathhouse or a restroom, or if you're going to use a portable toilet on site, your toiletries, it's always good to bring them along with you. A couple rolls of toilet paper, not just one, just in case maybe that roll happens to fall in a puddle of water. It's not going to be good for anything at that point. So it's always good to have a couple rolls along. I like the idea of keeping them in a 1 gallon size zipped lock bag. Another possibility, if you want to keep toiletries dry, empty coffee cans with lids work great as well. I've used them in the past. Just next time you have a big old gallon-sized jug of coffee, then you run out of it, don't throw that plastic out in the recycles. Save it and use it to store toilet paper inside of it, and it keeps everything nice and dry. Another thing, too, always have a small package of Kleenex. They will work as well. You ever see those small pocket-sized packages of Kleenex? Keep some of them along, and always remember to bring some sanitized wipes and spray. Works great on the germs, and if you're camping outside, you know as well as I do, there are plenty of them out there. Have you ever thought about this? Now, this may work fine, this may not. Some people will have their portable toilets inside their tent. Most people don't, and I'll tell you why. First of all, smaller tents will not allow the room for a portable toilet inside. It's not the most desirable in camping situations. You've got to ask yourself, too, what about privacy issues, especially if you have more than one person sleeping inside that tent? For me, on the other hand, you know I'm a big fall and wintertime camper. I enjoy frigid temperatures. Yes, call me crazy if you want to. I know I am. All right, but I like fall and wintertime camping. In this type of a situation for 2016, no doubt I'm going to invest in a portable toilet inside the tent. And I'll tell you why. Because at nighttime, I have a tendency to get up more than 2 times a night to go outside the tent and deal with my business. All right? And nothing is more horrible than having to get up, get dressed, put your shoes and socks on, put on your winter coat, step outside into that cold, frigid temperature when you've been inside with that tent heater on and it feels as comfortable as can be. But yeah, you've got to deal with that. Remember, you're camping. All right. But if you want to make it easier on yourself and you've got a tent that is big enough and you've got everything just as you want it, all right, then it's a good idea, I would say, to set up a portable toilet in your tent, and this way you don't have to go out. Again, I'm talking from my personal perspective here, and it's just me camping. I don't bring anybody along with me. There's nobody else sleeping in my tent but me. One thing that I would concern myself with, if I were you and you did have a portable toilet inside your tent, be careful of your portable lights that you have. You know you're not going to bring a gas-powered lantern inside your tent. You're not supposed to do that anyway, but you may have a battery-operated one. I would make sure that that is turned off in the event you have to get up and use the facility, because you know if you've got that light on inside and you're sitting on the throne, somebody on the outside is going to be able to see the image of you, and you do not want that at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't want it at 2 in the morning. You don't want it any time. All right, so, you got to keep that in mind, too. If you're camping in an environment where there are other people around, definitely consider the privacy issues. Also, waste disposal. Let's talk about that. You've got to dispose of human waste appropriately. Use the campground dump station. Again, talk to the campground owner, talk to the person who is on site, and find out what you need to do and what is required of disposing any human waste anytime you go camping, if you decide to set up a portable toilet on your primitive site. Again, if you are camping in an RV, a motorhome, or a fifth wheel, you don't have this issue. You don't have to worry about that. But if you're a camper like myself, you're getting up there in your ages, or it's a concern of yours anytime that you go camping, that you may be in a situation where you are camped in a place where the restroom facility is a little too far away for you and your family, you may want to consider getting a portable toilet and using it at your facility. Just be mindful of the environment. You've got to be concerned about that. It's there for us and there for future generations to enjoy. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Yep. Let's take a little visit out to West Cliff, Texas. It's part of Belton Lake, run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. West Cliff Park is a day-use area and campground located on the southwestern shore of Belton Lake. It's open year-round for us to enjoy. The lake provides some of the best fishing and boating in Central Texas, in addition to amenities such as a swimming beach, a boat ramp, playground for the kids, picnic areas, and RVs and tents, including 4 tent-only primitive sites. There's a lot of information on the website there, and I'm going to have it on our webpage under the featured campground section all week long for you to enjoy. Check it out. There's a lot of good reading there. The activities and amenities, some of them you already know about there. I just talked about the accessible swimming, the boat ramps. They've got a dump station there, too, if you're bringing your motorhome or your RV. The entrance station, flush toilets, pit toilets, and vault toilets as well. They've got a campground host on site, too. A lot of good information. Just remember, the campground, again, open year-round. Campsites 1 through 19 are closed from December 1st, and they reopen again on March 1st annually. The park is open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and a contact number that you can call for additional information. Remember, don't move firewood. Purchase your firewood locally, burn it locally. For more information, go to don'tmovefirewood.org, or you'll find a link on our website. It's West Cliff, Texas. It is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And, of course, if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, by all means, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, and make sure you include a link to the campground website. Remember, folks, every pet deserves a loving home. Do like I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and now subscribe to us on YouTube. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper, and no question about it, my friends, I'm going to do my very best to make a happy camper out of you. Have yourself a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next weekend. This is Happy Camper Radio.